It is the Royal Blue podcast brought to you by the Liverpool Echo. I'm Ian Croll, and we are live across YouTube and Facebook. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Also, please send in your questions. I'll put them to Gav and Chris, who are also on today's pod. As mentioned just then, so joining on today's show, we have the Echo's Everton FC reporter, Chris Beesley. Chris, how are things?
Yeah, just I say recovering from that busy transfer window, but it wasn't, was it? No, there was plenty of other things keep me busy off the pitch. But big weekend ahead. Obviously, the Tottenham Hotspur game, and there could be an announcement coming from the club this afternoon regarding something for next season. I can't say too much at this moment. I've got my fingers burnt in the past, but just watch out for that one.
Slight embargo on that news then, Chris, yeah. No worries. And we've also got Royal Blue contributor, regular Royal Blue contributor, Gav Buckland, fresh from his trip to Amsterdam. I had to get that in there, Gav.
I was last week and I'm still recovering. I went the Arc Stadium.
Yeah,
very impressive, and gives you good insight to what Bramley Moore will look like, even though it's 30 years old. It was good to go in to see something that is, I'd say, relatively new, and it was excellent. And I got to see Johan Cruyff statue as well, which was but he was the man when I was a kid.
Any signs of Jordan Henderson?
I did go into the Arc dressing room, and his shirt was hanging up.
Oh,
actually.
wow. Apparently the fastest selling Ajax shirt in history.
Wow,
yeah.
According to reports. I don't know the figures. Anyway, talked about Jordan Henderson far too long already and his podcast. Chris, let's get straight into it then. So deadline day yesterday, not much really happening. But, just give us your thoughts on the window as a whole, success really that Everton probably kept, some of the key players.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it like that, given all the club's well-documented financial issues and see the whole 10-point deduction and then the second charge, everything that goes with that. The fact that Sean Dyche was asked about this in his press conference, and he was never in a position where he would have to sell the star players. That has to be a big bonus. I think that January transfer window is often very iffy time to sign players anyway. I ended up doing a piece yesterday because of there was so little going on. Ended up doing a piece all about Everton's previous deadline day buys, not just January transfer buys, the ones they got on the deadline in previous winter windows. And other than Mikel Arteta, who was their first one, not too many hits in there. There's a lot more misses and a few hardly even got a look in. So, yeah, the fact that they're able to hold on to all their best players has to be a big bonus. And I suppose we'll come on to this. The Mason Holgate one did raise a few eyebrows, given that they've allowed to go into a Premier League rival.
What do you think on that one then before we come on to Gav? Is that, I mean, he was obviously at loan at Southampton anyway. He quickly fell out of favour with their manager because, they're actually having a successul season, Southampton. Did you expect them to come back and play a part in, Everton's day-to-day squad, weekly squad of football games, or is it the right move?
Yeah, I think he was always surplus to requirements at Everton after last season. Obviously, Sean Dyche had a look at him last season, and the feeling was that there was going to be a part in the ways. I just think it's strange, given that, okay, for whatever reason, he couldn't hold down a regular spot at Southampton in the Championship, that given that Everton have just dropped into the bottom three again, that they have allowed him to join another relegation rival. I'm sure it's a good move for him. He goes back to his native South Yorkshire, a chance to revive his career at the top level. I think ultimately it's numbers again. It's the money side of things. If the club came in who were going to offer the right kind of money to pay Holgate's wages, and obviously Southampton were doing that, a fair chunk of that for the first half of the season. Well, Dyche has described it as a very advantageous move, a deal for the club, and I guess that's why he's been allowed to go there.
Gav, club decision then. It's not obviously not a major loss, but we've talked about Mason Holgate a couple of times on the podcast over the past couple of weeks, and we don't really know where his career is going. His future obviously doesn't seem to be at Everton, but like I say, no major loss.
No, because he's not played this season, has he? And he's been sporadic, hasn't he? His appearances in previous campaigns hasn't impressed, and as Chris said there, it's all about cash, isn't it? for or a saving for the club in terms of his wages. I'm not sure whether that's Sheffield playing all their his wages.
I'm not sure how it breaks down, but I guess by what Dyche said, Everton aren't being left very much out of pocket by this.
Yeah. So it's just somebody. I mean, we've got 3 or 4 centre halves, haven't we? And a couple of right backs where he has played, and so he's surplus to surplus, isn't he? Really. And it makes a lot of sense for both players in the club and for Sheffield United as well.
So just the key players then. I mean, we don't know how massively true these reports were, but Branthwaite was obviously linked with a couple of teams in the window, and Nana was obviously linked with Newcastle. There's always that fear, isn't there, on the last day of the transfer window, deadline day, that a massive bid or some sort of bid would come in for players. We know what's happened in the past. Again, probably just massive that we've been able to keep hold of everyone that features heavily in the team.
Well, in the roundabout way, the Commission's decision against us has worked in our favour in the January transfer window, hasn't it? Because it means that, and I'm interested to know the full reasons for this. But I know the reason, but how the maths of it works out is that nobody's been buying players for fear of breaching themselves and seeing what the punishment can be. And that's on the back of us. So on that basis, they're not buying players. And that means they're not buying Everton players. So you can say if there's one good thing for the Commission that's worked in our favour, this is possibly an unexpected one. But as Chris was saying, the January transfer windows, it's risky, isn't it? And to buy big in that window, you've got to be buying a surefire hit, haven't you, really? And obviously, a lot of clubs felt the same. So I think it's a triumph for us not to have any players gone. Yeah. I mean,
do we win the window then?
Yeah. I mean, I think if we were selling players, it was for cash reasons, wasn't it? It wasn't for to keep within profit and sustainability rules. It was to need the cash. I know we'll talk about this in a bit probably, but that probably means in the short term, the cash coming into the club is something they've got. And even now in the end of the season, I would think.
Some questions and opinions coming in thick and fast. We've probably answered this one, but D. Hagen on Facebook has said, would you consider it a successful transfer window to be able to keep hold of all of our better players? So, that's what we have done, haven't we, really? What else?
All of our players?
Yeah. Absolutely,
because we need bums on seats, don't we?
Yeah, but that's size of the squad, we've been so small. Yeah, so it could have been even fringe players, if they gone out, it could have left them trouble. Somebody like Ben Godfrey, who's hardly figured, but is needed at crucial moments, as we saw on Tuesday.
Yeah, Chris Anthony Holden on YouTube says, will Dele Alli play for Everton this season? In your opinion, will it be worth renegotiating his contract with Spurs? I think we've tried to do that already, haven't we? To no avail.
I don't think he's going to play again for Everton. He's not fit anyway, and hamstrung by, like you say, the terms of that contract. What, 7 appearances shy of the kicking in the first appearance, first payment, first £10 million instalment. Anyway, as you mentioned, there have been discussions to see if that could be changed, and sort of unsurprisingly, Daniel Levy didn't budge on that one. So I think it's a very sad situation for the player, but I don't see him in a royal blue jersey ever again.
Just an interesting one, this, because I didn't really think about it, but Emma EFC on YouTube says, why did they extend the window, considering how bad the window's been due to FFP restrictions? So it was extended by a day, I think, wasn't it?
I'm pass on that one. I'm not sure why it was the extra day. I don't know, because there's been times in previous years when it sort of spilled into February by a day or two, but I must confess I'm not sure on that one. And like I said, it didn't seem to make much difference from Everton's point of view. Those deals were just gotten done a day before.
My only guess there is there was Premier League fixtures last night, wasn't it?
Something to do with that.
It might have been unfair that some teams actually, that's
the round, as it were.
I think it would make sense to have tied it to the end of the Premier League match week, as they call it now.
Well, I think you've just answered Emma's question right
You've
there.
done well there, Gav.
Yeah, that's total speculation, by the way.
That's why we get you on.
Yeah.
All right, well, Gav, Sean Dyche can concentrate on the football now then, can't he? And Chris and Joe talked about Fulham earlier in the week, but just get your reaction to it, really. Good point or disappointing point, really?
Good point. I think a point on your travels in the Premier League is always a good point. People say we should win, but there was a lot of there was chances of either end. Some of our finishing left a lot to be desired, I think, but we defended reasonably soundly. Is that 4 clean sheets in 5 games or something like that?
Yeah, most in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah. Pickford's the Golden Glove leader, so kept the clean sheets on the road, got a point, which was with what was getting on to be a scratch midfield, really, wasn't it? You had Young, who's played right back, playing right hand side.
Yeah.
You had Garner, you had McNeil, who's a left winger, playing in the middle, and you had Dan Juma, who's not normally a strike, a foot striker, or a left winger playing wide left on the midfield. So with all those factors, it was a very decent point.
Yeah, I completely agree. Chris, then Tottenham tomorrow, 12:30, Goodison Park. You're going.
Yeah.
I'm not going because I'm in work, but it is what it is. I'll get to watch it on the telly. Just tough game it's going to be, obviously.
Yeah, it's for a long, long time now, no matter how well or how badly the two respective sides have been going. They struggle against Tottenham, haven't they? I was looking at the stats and beat them a couple of times behind closed doors in the COVID era. You have to see when Calvert-Lewin scored the winner on the opening day under Jose Mourinho's Tottenham, the start of that season, and then the 5-4 thriller where Carlo just blew on his cup of tea when the winner went in, and everyone liked that at the time. Nice, cool, calm and collected Carlo maybe actually told us that he wasn't actually that bothered about what was going on. But yeah, in front of fans, we have to go back, I think, to December 2012 when they turned around that 1-0 deficit. Clint Dempsey put Tottenham ahead at Goodison, and a couple of late goals from, was it Pinar and Jelavic last couple of minutes. So they're due one, to be fair. So many factors. Everton sort of due a change your luck, change your fortune in that respect, but it always does seem to be a tough game against Spurs, and obviously they're going well this season under Big Ange. But although I was down at the corresponding fixture in North London with Joe just before Christmas. Everton very unfortunate, actually produced one of the best displays of the season, but it's still lost, and more VAR controversy with the goal being disallowed.
Can you give us any injury updates? Obviously desperate for Takore to come back. We heard yesterday or earlier in the week that he was back running on grass, which obviously it's a good sign, but it's probably not. He's quite not there yet.
On the grass, as there you go, Dyche impression. He said it's a weird one, this, because it started off, wasn't it? We were told this injury was just fatigue at first, and then it became, in the manager's own words, something longer term, which was concerning. Obviously, it's his hamstring, but on the other side as the previous one. I don't think he's going to be figuring. I just hope that Idrissa Gueye's back, because obviously he was knocked out the African Cup of Nations earlier this week, was all the way back on Monday, wasn't it? I think.
Has he reported back?
He was back today. He's back today. Yeah. Dyche said yesterday that with all the travel coming back from the Ivory Coast, that yesterday was a down day for him, but he would be assessed today. And as far as the manager was concerned, there weren't any issues in that respect. He has been playing again. I mean, ironically, it was Tottenham away was his last game when he went off there in the first half. So I'd like to think he's available to come back in the middle, because as Gav's already said, they're chronically short of numbers in the centre of the park. So that'd be ideal if he came back and Amadou Onana is touch and go, fluid on the knee.
I mean, Gav, the midfield at the moment is the one that seems to be major concern. We can seem to fill every other position. We know our goal scoring issues with the two strikers that we've got, but the past couple of weeks now, it does seem to be, anytime we do a preview show or looking forward to a game, it's like it's a makeshift this, it's a makeshift that. It's it's obviously a massive concern, but are you confident?
If it's tomorrow or the midfield or both, I think I take a lot of encouragement from the performance before Christmas. I thought we played really well after a sluggish start. It wasn't after 20 minutes in when they were 2-0 ahead. I thought we were much better team. Even by half time, we were the better team, weren't we? Yeah. And I think what we did really well at Spurs is we pressurised them a lot on their third of the pitch, didn't we? They spent a lot of the first half passing the ball to us, didn't they? From about 15-20 minutes onwards, and we had a shed load of chances that we didn't take advantage of from their mistakes, and I'll be looking for that tomorrow. Whether we can press, I think did Corey play at Spurs? I think he did he? Yeah. Without Corey, that might.
No, sorry, he didn't. No, he went off at Burnley, didn't he?
Yeah.
Gomez came in.
Yeah. We pressed. I think he came on as sub, didn't he, Gomez? But I think if we pressed them like we did at the Tottenham Stadium before Christmas, we keep our shape defensively, I think we're in with a chance. I mean, they will give you a chance, Spurs, won't they? You know that the Ange football tends to be good games of footy, and I think consequently, I think we have got an opportunity tomorrow to get a result.
Okay, well, keep your questions coming in. We are only doing a short pod and show today. Apologies for that, but we have got a lot on in the office, so we're going to try and get through as many questions as possible. But Chris, I'll come to you on this one because you've seen him play. But the Oracle on YouTube said Ben Godfrey to keep his spot in the team. He did play very well, didn't he?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because personally, I could see, obviously, if Idrissa Gueye is fit to return, then Dwight McNeil goes back out wide, probably for Dan Juma on the left. And I wonder if Dyche would be tempted to move Ashley Young back to right back, given that's where he's played most of the season. Certainly, if you're going to go off who actually played well and getting your place on merit, Godfrey would retain his spot on the side. He did get booked early on, but he did well after that. Keep his head, made some really sort of crucial interceptions at important times for Everton. So yeah, he could count himself very unfortunate if he does miss out. But I think there is a distinct possibility that that could happen.
And Colin Brown on YouTube has said, "Get your money on Richie to score the first goal." Gav, I've just got on my notes there. So the return of Richarlison, well, obviously, sure he's going to get a good reception.
Yeah,
hopefully not too good.
You know where this first came from? Brian Glanville, the great journalist, wasn't it? Said the immutable law of the X. That a former player will always score against their old club. Well, if he can score first, but as long as we went 2-1, I think that would be a result for everybody, wouldn't it? If Richarlison scored tomorrow, what do you think the reaction of the crowd would be? Do you think? What do you think his reaction would be?
I don't think he'd celebrate.
I don't think he would he? No.
Well, to be fair, he scored, didn't he, in the game down at
but Goodison's a slightly different different thing, isn't it?
And he was given a good reception after that. Yeah. I can't see. I don't think he's going to be giving it the big one, as Frank Lampard would say. But, yeah.
I remember I've seen a couple of ex-Everton players come back and their goals be cheered. Duncan McKenzie and Bob Blatchford for a start, that we were winning in those matches. But I can't see that. If it's 3-0 to Everton tomorrow and Richarlison scores in the last minute, you might get a cheer.
That's definitely. It won't happen if it's the first goal.
No,
the last minute,
of course it won't. Yeah.
A lot of, not a lot, but a couple of people suggesting we should throw Michael Keane up top. It can't be worse than Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Beto. I mean, I have, jokingly said that a couple of times in the past about Michael Keane, but
scored a worldie against Tottenham last season.
He did.
That was. I mean, maybe he doesn't have to go up top. Maybe he can do it from deep. Play him centre mid. Don't know if Gay doesn't make it. No, he just. I don't know. Yeah. Some's got to give, haven't it? You'd hope. So with Calvert-Lewin or Beto, get a goal sometime soon. I mean, at least Calvert-Lewin's performance levels haven't dipped. I mean, you can say some games he doesn't have a lot of chances or whatever, but he is putting a shift in there. I don't think he's gone markedly downhill in this period, but it must be tough for him. He just needs one going in off his backside. But then, ironically, again, he obviously scored at Tottenham, and that one was controversially disallowed. If that had gone in, who knows? He might be on a scoring spree right now. But that's them's the breaks.
I mean, Gabby, he's obviously, this is Dominic Calvert-Lewin missing Doucouré. Is that if you want to call it that type of partnership? I know he's not. Doucouré's not an out-and-out striker, but he obviously complements Calvert-Lewin. If you remember when we were having that good run of form, Calvert-Lewin still wasn't scoring goals. It was the goals being spread around the team. But now that's kind of stopped, the pressure is obviously on Calvert-Lewin and Doucouré, Beto to get the goals. So are we being a little bit unfair? Have we got to get back to spreading the goals around the team? But again, it just goes back to every single time now. It seems to be just a makeshift team that we're playing.
I don't think it's unfair to expect Calvert-Lewin to score. I mean, he should be scoring, shouldn't he? He's a centre forward. It's what he's paid.
15 games, is it now? So it's a lot.
Tens of £1,000s a week to score. So I don't think it's unfair that he should, that he's under scrutiny. And Beto the same. I've got my own views on Calvert-Lewin, which I've said many times in the pod. I think he's overrated, to be honest with you. But at the same time, he does do a job for us. I get what you're saying. I think possibly because he's probably got closer attacking, because there's no Doucouré. He's got closer. The defenders are closer to him, aren't they? Because our attacking threat is so limited. So instead of a defender keeping their eye on Doucouré, both defenders are looking at Calvert-Lewin, aren't they? So
sounds like his agent's trying to sabotage your speech, Gav.
No, but I think Calvert-Lewin. I think he's done a good job for us, but I think he's limited. But I think he needs a goal, doesn't he? As you were saying. But what we haven't done really though is how many goals we scored from set pieces recently. You'd expect that to be a threat of a diced team, wouldn't you? Really. Yeah. And
Beto should have scored at the end, shouldn't he, on Tuesday night.
So you are right, I think as much as I say about Calvert-Lewin is, if he's not scoring, we should be spreading the goals around, and we've had a paucity of goals, haven't we, really, from the rest of the team, that I think is also reflects badly on them. To be honest with you, I'd say set pieces haven't been brilliant, have they?
What does he do then, Chris? Because obviously injury pending, it's still going to be kind of a bit of a makeshift. But does Calvert-Lewin still start in your opinion, or does Beto firmly get an opportunity now against what is going to be a strong Tottenham team?
I'd stick with Calvert-Lewin in the hope that he ends this streak, because unfortunately Beto's not been doing much better. As we said, Beto really should have scored that chance at the end there. I mean, Calvert-Lewin had the 1-on-1 against Villa, the last Premier League home game. Very similar to his goal against Villa in the Carabao Cup. Obviously a different goalkeeper there, Robin Olsen. But yeah, I'd stick with Calvert-Lewin. He's the proven player at this level. I know he's on this awful run at the moment, but obviously just before that, he'd become only the 4th Everton player to score 50 Premier League goals. So he does have proven pedigree at this level, where Beto's still sort of learning the ropes. And so yeah, I'd stick with Calvert-Lewin in the hope that this run ends sooner rather than later. Who knows? Might be a Calvert-Lewin penalty to end the drought.
God help him if we get a penalty and he misses it.
That was Brighton, wasn't it? Remember the last was the season before last he missed at the Park End, didn't he? Remember he put it over the bar.
Rest of the team then, Chris?
Yeah. Oh, do you want to go through it?
Yeah, let's go through it. Yeah.
Okay. So I think Pickford in goal. I think he'll move Ashley Young back to right back, and put Ben Godfrey will be an unfortunate one to miss out. I think it'll be Mikalenko left back, Tarkowski and Branthwaite in the centre backs. Hoping that Idrissa Gueye available to come back in. There's no reason why he shouldn't. So if you have him and James Garner in the middle, Jack Harrison on the right, Dwight McNeil back onto the left there. In fact, I've run out of players. Somebody's going to actually. So maybe Calvert-Lewin's going to name 10 players here. We've got a bonus here. Maybe that Godfrey will keep his place, and Ashley Young might stay right mid, and maybe Jack Harrison to play off the striker. So I'm getting myself in a bit of a muddle there. So perhaps Godfrey does get a reprieve.
Interestingly, the last time Young played right mid for us, I thought he did well. I think he started at right back, and I can't remember.
Well, it's the position he's played most of his career, hasn't he? And the way he's only sort of moved back as he's at this advanced stage of his career.
Wide left as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He played wide right against Newcastle, didn't he? Yeah, and Harrison played really well, and that was the same on Tuesday. I just think, is it asking too much of Garner Gueye? Would there be, I say, because he's not actually played for us for 7 weeks, something like that, will it be?
Yeah.
He's not played for us for 7 weeks. He's been away. Are we asking too much of him to come back when he's flown back this week, and he's been back at the club off 48 hours, something like that, 72 hours? Are we asking him too much to start the Premier League of a Saturday? If they'd been Sunday, possibly.
And the early kick-off.
Yeah, and the early kick-off on the Saturday morning. Is that asking too much, do we think?
What's the alternative?
We have something similar to Tuesday.
I totally get what you're saying. I think these footballers these days are super fit. He might have a bit of jet lag. I don't know, but I think it's probably needs must. At the end of the day, that's all. That's the only way I would see it. I think if you're gonna get him to sit and get the rest of the players to do the attacking work, that's the way to go. Otherwise, you're just dropping Garner further back. Yeah. No, it's just Garner. I'm not saying we shouldn't play him, but on face value, it is a bit of a risk, and it's a reflection again of the amount of players we got to select, isn't it? Really. I think if Dice thinks he's not ready, he won't play. I mean, we all know what Dice is like. You have to be virtually 100% fit and ready to go. So, what would be your team then, Gav, for the full team?
Right. Okay. Well, goalie. Back four, I think if assuming Garner Gueye plays, I'm not going to make the mistake Chris says. I'm going to go back here. DCL, Harrison.
Going backwards.
Yeah. Then if Garner Gueye comes back, it's whether you play Danjuma, isn't it?
Because he did go off injured at the end.
So there's lots of things.
Yeah.
Did you have Danjuma in your side?
No, because I'm presuming he's injured now.
So he could be. I don't think he can. It's too many imponderables, isn't it? Really, if Danjuma was available, you could have like Danjuma, McNeil, Garner, and Garner Gueye in the middle, and Young at right back, couldn't you? So it depends. But if Danjuna's not fit, then there's a real possibility we end up something like on Tuesday.
But as Gav says, I mean, we can say, oh yeah, put Idrissa Gueye in or don't put him in. We don't know. The club have got serious scientific people who are going to look at this, and they'll make the judgment call on that one.
I think what is, should we possibly won't be going 4-4-2 again.
Absolutely not.
Whatever.
No, I think that was definitely an experimental formation.
Well, I think, we all know Dyche went for 4-4-2 for years at Burnley, and then when he started Everton, everyone was like, oh, he's not gone 4-4-2, and we've seen why. But if there was ever a team you weren't going to do the 4-4-2 experiment again, surely it was Luton Town, a team who've come up from the Championship. Playing against two big men up front is meat and drink for them. That was probably the worst time to go 4-4-2, personally, I think. I don't know why I did, because he tried it for half an hour against Luton in the Premier League game in September. So, I don't know, I couldn't write it off completely forever, but certainly I thought that was like one of the worst actual opportunities to do it against
Luton. It didn't work well when we had the ball out, did it, really? Yeah. And I think that's something to be avoided in the future.
Yeah. Okay, before we come on to predictions then, because we're going to have to finish in the next couple of minutes, but just the 7-7, 777 update. I keep saying 777, but I'm always going to say 777 now. Christie being in the news again this week, the potential loans has potentially risen to 180 million now to Everton. Can you shed a little bit more on that as far as what's going on?
We just wonder whether it's this trying to pressurise the Premier League bosses to make a decision, because they say, look, we're propping the club up already in this respect. I mean, it's got to fall down one way or the other sometime soon. They were taught, when the deal was clinched in September, they were saying expected to receive ratification by the fourth quarter of 2023, and we're now into February, aren't we? Can't continue forever. What's interesting today actually is that the head of football analytics, Madan Shormats, who I met at Finch Farm back in November, spoke to him. He's a very interesting character. He's leaving. He's on his way to Barnsley, where he's got the sporting director's role, which is seen as a good move for him. He's got a great backstory actually. He was raised in the former Yugoslavia and then left that war-torn region in the early 90s to settle in Yorkshire. So he's moving back to his part of the world there. But it was very much a global role for him at 777, and he thought that it was very important for him to show his face at all of their clubs within their portfolio. So he's been seen a lot of times at Goodison this season, pictured in the article sat next to Gareth Southgate for the Chelsea game back in December. He was part of that 6-man party from 777 who came and watched last month the Crystal Palace FA Cup replay. So he's on his way out, so they're going to have a rethink in that respect. But in terms of the bigger picture, it's got to fall down one way or the other, and it just makes me wonder, all these stories about them putting money into the club, are they almost trying to force the issue?
I mean, Gav, it just keeps getting more concerning by each day, and the fact that Everton are now in debt to 777 to in the region of 150 to 180 million. Is I mean, you've said it in the past, that's more important, and the ownership situation is more important, more serious than the actual deduction.
Yeah, I think we've allowed ourselves to be distracted by that, understandably so, by the commission and the deduction of points and the implications of that from the league. But in terms of the medium and long term future of the club and the ground, this is far more significant in this whole scenario with 777, and it needs resolving as quickly as possible. And the longer it drags on, it just isn't helping us. It means we can't plan how we fund the balance of the stadium, all that type of stuff. It's just all up in the air, and we're in a very tricky position if it doesn't go through. You can look at this either way. They might be ploughing money into the club because the mood music and they're being told this was just dotting the I's and crossing the T's here, but you'll be okay. We've just got to go through this process. So they're quite happy to put money into the club on that basis. Or the other alternative is they're just doing it's an enormous risk for them, because if it doesn't go through, the club's got 150 million of their money. So it's a high risk strategy really either way from them, but it needs resolving.
Sorry to interrupt, but they also know Everton have got a massive valuable asset in the stadium.
Well, that's if they do become the owners, then that becomes a separate conversation, doesn't it? I mean, but it's got to be both first. And we are in a very awkward position if they don't take over. This goes back over to not selling any players, doesn't it? Really, in this window, this probably means that the club is confident that they've got funding now between now and the end of the season. I would imagine. So we'll just have to wait and see. But this is far more important than the 10-point deduction stuff. Though that's not something to be ignored, is it? Really?
Okay, Chris, finish with predictions then for Spurs. What are you going to go with?
I'll be positive, and I'll say a year on, more or less, from Dyche's first game, that unexpected 1-0 win over Arsenal at Goodison, and be positive and say that Everton finally get that first league win of 2024, and we're classic Sean Dyche 1-0.
Gav?
You know what might happen tomorrow? It's only ever happened twice before in our history, by the way. Could be third consecutive goalless draw in the league. It's only ever happened once before.
When was that?
Yeah, 1982. And so that could happen, and I'd take that actually. To be honest with you, and I think in the list I'm going on a bit. I think there's been more 0-0s between Everton and Spurs than any. I think it's only the derbies had more 0-0s.
Okay.
There's been loads of 0-0s. After all that, I'm going to say Everton 1-0.
I'm going to say 0-0 after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Convinced him.
I was going to go positive, but I think you're right.
Nil is positive.
I think you're right. I think it is still positive because let's face it, we've got City next, so we could do it. We got something from Fulham. Let's get something from Tottenham. Let's see what happens with.
Then we've got Palace at home. If you give me 4 points in the next 3 games, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll finish there then. We obviously a short show today, short podcast, but we have been live. So please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Chris, you'll be at Goodison tomorrow covering the game with Joe Thomas, so we'll have plenty of Everton coverage and content over our website and social platforms over the next couple of days, and then we'll be back at some point next week to, react to the Spurs game and preview what's ahead. Gav, Chris, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated.
Thank you.